What's up, y'all? Holy cow. Hi, my name is Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. This is our main side, one of the videos on our main side where we allow the human body to work. Our slogan here is that, allowing the body to work. There's only one way the human body could ever work. There's no opinion, no sales pitch, no new information. It just is what it is. A mechanical machine placed onto this rock in space that is our Earth. There's only one way the body works. And so what we do here is allow the body to work through all the ways that we do. But everything that we do in our lives, we're doing it through our clothing. Anything physically placed on us. There's no kind of opinion or approach on fashion or anything like this, advice in any way. We're talking about glasses or jewelry, and yeah, sure, hats, gloves, pants, tops, shoes, socks, undergarments, whatever it is you physically place on your body. It's just literal wording. Anything placed onto the body is clothing the body. The way that God clothes the fields with grass, something placed onto something else is clothing it. And with our bodies, just being a mechanical machine, meaning just a machine of motion, a machine that has the neutral position and then two sides from there in all of its function. There's just a neutral to the body, and our clothing has to fit our bodies, all right? Clothing has to stay centered, fit correct, and be made in all the ways we can from 100% natural materials, because we've got things like this. Okay, joints of body parts meshing with joints of material. And so what really happens, why it doesn't seem so understood that there's only one way the human body could actually work, and people try to train their bodies to do something. Well, let me explain this first. There's only a normal to the human being. There's a normal body temperature, there's a normal resting heart rate, the amount the heart beats per minute. There's a normal resting respiratory rate, the amount the body breathes per minute. There's a normal amount of fat content the body would just have to use for what it uses fat for, in all the ways it does, is what I'm saying. There's a normal amount of muscle mass the body just has to be able to function. But people try to train their bodies, because what happens truly is we get into chronic patterning. And so this is what I'm saying. We're a clothing company, but only for the sake of the human body. We just are getting to the functionality of the human being through the only thing physically placed on it. And so Dante's eating this grass, and I'm just trying to decide if that's okay or not. I don't know if there's anything on this grass. If it's just normal grass, it's fine. But anyway, Dante, my standard poodle here, okay? My current standard poodle. We'll discuss that, okay? In the Image Clothing Company poodles, one of our fourths. But allowing the body to work, yeah, the bones only are the shape that they are. The bones are only the length that they are. The muscles are only the shape that they are and the length that they are. The skeletal system of the human being is a closed system, if you will. What I mean by that is it's a system all together, all a whole system, if you will, connected. All the bones through ligaments. The human being is already just this skeletal frame, and the bones only connect how they do. If our bones can't connect in line, then they get worn out. We've got this thin layer of cushioning between our bones called cartilage. And the bones need to track or move together the only way they're shaped. Here's an airplane coming overhead. All right, blunt, bold, raw, and real in the Image Clothing Company. These surrounding sounds and the videos are here where they are. All right, but let's talk about this. Once we wait out the airplane noise for at least a little bit of time here, okay? Yeah. So the bones are all there. The skeletal system of the body is just a whole thing by itself already. The musculature of our bodies is pieced onto the skeletal system where it is in order to allow functioning and motion to happen of the skeletal system. The human body only pulls. That's a video we reference often here under In The Image Clothing Company's main side. It does. Muscles only pull. We don't actually push, even when we think we do. We've got opposing muscles and opposing muscle groups where we do. So muscles pull together to close a hinge, but then we've got muscles on the back side of the function pulling together to extend a hinge. So we think we're pushing, maybe, if you do, but we're pulling muscles together to just extend a hinge joint. So the human body only pulls, and how this happens is muscle fibers actually firing. An electrical system sent from the brain out down through the brain stem, through the spine, okay, the spinal cord, and then out through the whole body. The muscle fibers get closer together as they get these electrical impulses and fire. So the human body only pulls, and with this happening, there's only one way it does. Muscles connect to bones directly through tendons. Yikes, tendons. And they only pull directly in line is what I'm saying. So you've got muscles like stemming at the elbow all the way out to the fingertips. The muscles only pull or track in line. That's how we have videos under In The Image Clothing Company's main site here titled, "There is only one way the hands work," and "There is only one way the feet work," because there is. We've got a vertical pull to gravity, and then a horizontal surface to the earth beneath it, you know, beneath the gravity's pull, really beneath our feet. This is a 90-degree angle, a right angle, a perpendicular angle, if you will. Our bodies have a center line. The surrounding sounds, man, holy. We've got a sternum, a spine, a trachea, a nose, and a jaw. The jaw is naturally stabilizing the entire body, being in the center of the body and having all the musculature it does up to the crown of the head and down to the upper ribs, out to the edges of the shoulder. We've got a video here under In The Image Clothing Company's main site titled "The Jaw is the Shoulder." It is directly through tendons and muscles connecting it to the very edge of the shoulder. Okay, so what I'm saying is all of this is just meshing with Earth's vertical gravity pull. We've got feet down at our foundation, gripping arches inward, opposing the center line, and that's how we stay vertical on Earth's surface, standing up. All right. So, patterning gets created in the body. Chronic patterning, where bone spurs get built up, muscles that are pulling on bones to just move the bones, but they're not allowed to do it in line in the position the bones track in. So the muscles pull on the bone, and we get a built up amount of bone in an unnatural way. Okay. Scar tissue gets built up in the body too. Toughened tissue, where the body can't just work naturally, neutrally, or normally, which are synonyms with how the body works. Natural, neutral, and normal. The body does have neutrals to all its functioning. We just pull on both sides of the neutral of a function to stabilize in the center, or the neutral. Just like standing up, we pull on the left side to lean left, only from the center, or the neutral, standing up on Earth's vertical gravity pull with the center line of our body meshing with it. Or our bodies pull on the right to lean us right, only from the neutral, or the center, which is Earth's vertical gravity pull meshing with the center line of our bodies. And then the body can go forward only from the neutral, or backward only from the neutral. When we're standing up, we lean forward, or we lean back, we lean left, or we lean right. But this is in every function of the body. In the rotations, internal rotation or external rotation from the neutral only, though. There's only one way this happens. And there's only one way the human body could ever work. There's a video here under In The Image Clothing Company's main site titled, "The Human Body is Just Mechanics." The human body's mechanics hinges, levers, rotations, just functionality, a physical thing with physical motion. It's just a mechanical machine placed onto this rock in space that is our Earth, the human being. So this video's title, by the way, there's quite a bit of context, and we'll give more throughout this video on what we're discussing here, and why we are in the Image Clothing Company when we're really just here to allow the body of the human being to work here on our main side. One of our fourths. Yeah, the video's title is Heat versus Cold in the Body. Because the body works differently, the body is physically able to work differently, depending on where we are on this earth, or what season we are on this earth, and if it's hot outside, or if it's cold outside. Or if you're inside, I guess, in a man-made building, and it's hot there or it's cold there. And we live in this modern man-made world placed onto God's natural earth. So the goal is natural on all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company, because there's only natural, there's no opinion to it. We discuss things like this: mathematics, physics, and mechanics. Oh, really? Okay. Under In the Image Clothing Company, because, which, I mean, those are kind of the same thing, really. You know, they're almost synonymous. Physics is a form of mathematics, and physics talks about the mechanical operations of things, but, you know, I understand that to the degree that I do. What I'm saying is, there's only one way this stuff happens. And, yeah, temperatures, you know. The goal is natural, by the way, though, okay? I'm so caught off guard by all the things that are going on in this video, and it's like nothing is, but things are. Anyway, the point is, golly, this is ridiculous. This video is going so strange so far, if I'm saying it. I'm the one saying the words in this video. Man, our bodies have a normal, all right? And if we're wearing oversized clothing, if we've got imbalances in any kind in clothing, or ropes like shoelaces or drawstrings introduced to the body, where we can tie one side over the other in a knot and rotate or twist the entire body, we get into chronic patterning. There's so many imbalances in modern day in clothing. We've got clothing designs shipped across the entire planet Earth in ways that couldn't have happened in the past before we had the technology to do that. And so any kind of imbalance in clothing, it's a universal patterning to anyone who's wearing this design. And in modern 2026, design is just about the same across the earth in many cases when it comes to what we clothe our bodies with. So, yeah, this is ridiculous. This video is huge. It's also warm out here, you know? That's what I'm saying. Heat versus cold in the body. Well, there's ways the body can physically work, and that's by it moving. The body being just a mechanical machine, or a machine of motion, it only works by moving. That's what it means to work, is for things to move. Now, matter cannot be created or destroyed, okay? That's why the goal is natural on all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company, because we can take natural things, but everything's already just here on the earth. All the materials we have to try to make anything unnatural, artificial, or synthetic as human beings, these are synonyms as well. We can make these things only out of natural things. Can we make unnatural things? But everything always goes back to natural. It decomposes back into the earth. Even our bodies, they're only earth. We're only what we eat. We have to eat natural things. Anything unnatural in any way on the labeling of our food, all right, man-made food, if you will, it can't do anything for the body. The body has to process it through it, which takes energy for the body to do, but the body doesn't extract any energy or nutrients from these unnatural, artificial, synthetic, these type of labeling just being synonyms with fake in our food that we make as human beings. The body can't do anything with this stuff. All right, so it only damages the body, and we're only what we have eaten. We eat things from the earth. We are the earth. We literally become the earth, but really it's the earth literally becoming a human being You eat plants that grew from the earth, or you eat an animal that ate plants that grew from the earth, and then as we die as human beings, our bodies decompose back into the earth and they grow up to become plants, and then animals eat the plants. It's just what it is. Matter is just always here. And the thing with matter, just meaning what's making up everything, how everything is what it is in this physical state of earth, you know? Yeah. Just in all senses of anything that exists. It's just there. And what it's doing is moving. With the body being a mechanical machine, a machine of motion, what it does is vibrate, all right? When things move, what's happening is all the little pieces that are making up the bigger pieces, you can see it like this. A rock is just like sand. Sand is a lot of little rocks, and if you compact them all together, you kind of make one rock, but it's made out of a lot of little rocks, you know? Everything is made up of smaller things, okay? Little molecules, little atoms, little things adding together to make something bigger. The way that you could have houses, individual houses, adding together to make a neighborhood or a community, you know. You can have individual blades of grass adding together to make a whole field of grass. You'd call it a field, but it's really just individual pieces of grass. You'd call it a neighborhood, but it's really individual houses. You'd call it a rock, but it's really individual little grains of sand, if you will. Do you see what I mean? We call this thing a human being, but it's just individual little molecules making up this human being as it is. And so what we have with the human being is motion. Now, this is how heat versus cold works. Welcome to science class, truly. You know, we don't have an opinion here on how the body works, you know, that we're trying to push. The human body is how it is. We're designed in the image of God. Where's Dante? Not actually worried like he ran off. I just didn't know where he went. We're designed in the image of Jesus Christ as human beings. We're a clothing company, like I was saying at the beginning there, for anything that clothes the body, just so we don't alter the body, trying to work around whatever we place onto it to clothe it with. These joints of materials meshing with joints of body parts. Like I'm saying, there's only one way the body functions. It's how the bones connect to each other. And we can't be working around things that we place onto us, or else we damage our bodies. Because the body's moving. It's a machine of motion. A mechanical machine. A machine with operations. And how this happens is by molecules moving. So check this out. When things get warmer or hotter, they move quicker. When things are cold, they move slower. Let's look at water. You've got water, and in water's liquid state, that's what we call water, it flows and it moves. Water's always trying to go downhill, and it'll just flow through whatever it can flow through to just get down to the lowest point of Earth's gravity's pull on it. But if water gets cold, below 32 degrees Fahrenheit, water freezes. And so these water molecules, all the little water pieces, if you will, you know, picture like drops of water, individual little drops of water. You keep dropping a lot of little drops of water into something that can hold them, and then it just creates a larger amount of water made up of a lot of little drops of water. Water in itself is made up of little molecules of water on a very small level. Everything's made up of something else that's smaller until we get down to the smallest thing you can get to, you know. That's just how it works. And what I'm saying is water, it naturally has the ability to move. And when water gets cold enough to where it gets to 32 degrees Fahrenheit, it will freeze. Which means all the little pieces of the water that are able to move and vibrate and allow that motion for the water to flow, they start vibrating so much slower as they get colder to the point where the water freezes solid. It's a literal tangible understanding of this. When something gets cold enough, it just doesn't move. It's just a solid block of ice instead of a flowing stream of water. Now on the other end, from the normal water, we could say in the middle of being hot on one end or cold on the other end, we do have the cold on one end, like we were just saying. But let's go to the other end of just the normal water. We've got hot. As the water gets hot, yikes, I don't know the exact temperature as of right now that water turns to steam, but water on its hot end turns to steam or a gas. Water on its cold end turns to a solid, which is ice. Water on its hot end turns to a gas, which we call steam, and it evaporates. Okay, so what I'm saying is, the reason this happens is because of the actual heat in the water. All right, so this video's title, Heat versus Cold in the Body. In this case, we're discussing the body of the human being on In The Image Clothing Company's main site. Even through the surrounding sounds, I get it. But, yikes. The body, excuse me, Mr. Beeping Truck, reacts the same way that water does with heat or cold. So water goes from its normal, if you will, water state with the ability to flow and move to getting excessively cold, if you will, excessively, right? But just on the cold end of the extreme, it freezes into a solid and it doesn't move. All the molecules in the water slow down so much, they become a solid. On the hot end of water, the molecules heat up so much and move so much quicker that they become a gas. Now, the human being is made up of somewhere around 70% water. So almost 3/4 of the entire body's makeup, as in what it really is, this human being, the vast majority of it is water. We live on this water planet Earth. All right? If the body gets cold, it's just like water getting cold, because the body is made up of the vast majority of it just being water, the same stuff that is in the rivers, in the ocean, in the lakes that we drink. That's why we drink it. That's what our body is made up of, the vast majority of it. And what we have is water on its cold end freezing solid, and it doesn't move. As water warms up on its hot end, water moves so much it becomes gas. So when we're talking about our slogan here under In The Image Clothing Company's main side, allowing the body to work, what we do is everything that we do as a human being. And so we discuss eating, sleeping, standing, walking, sitting, breathing, hydration, and really everything we do. Like I said earlier, we're only just doing all of these things through our clothing. And so we have to address our clothing first to allow our bodies to do all these other things. Or maybe we just never wear clothing at all, but clothing keeps us safe from the elements, and it keeps us modest, keeps us healthy and clean. So here comes an airplane again. The point is, though, with this video's title, Heat versus Cold in the Body, is we've got different parts of the earth. We've got different seasons on our earth. We've got warm seasons and cold seasons where we do. We've got parts of the earth that get a lot hotter at any given season that they do than any other part of the earth that gets a lot colder, and parts of the earth stay relatively warmer or hotter than other parts of the earth, staying relatively colder. And it just is what it is when it comes to heat versus cold on the earth. We're all just human beings placed on the same planet here, but it's different where it is, depending on where you are on the surface of the earth. And so our bodies need to have the ability to physically operate. That's what it means to be a mechanical machine, a machine in motion, a machine that moves. things only move if they're warm enough for the molecules to move faster and have the ability to have motion. That's what it means. For something to be hot, is it has the ability to work. So here's the thing. If you've got a really hot rock, let's say you've got just a rock that you set in a fire, and the rock is getting really warm as it's in the fire. You take this rock that's had all the heat transfer into it from the fire, and you put some food onto the rock. The heat in the rock wants to move from a hotter place to a colder place, just like how water wants to move from a higher place to a lower place. Here comes the wind. On Earth's gravity, right? Water will always flow downhill if it can. Heat will always go to a colder place if it can. So, if you place food onto a hot rock, some of the heat in the rock will move into the food. That's how we warm up our food, like that. It's a transfer of heat. You know, matter cannot be created or destroyed, and pressures want to level themselves out. Things always want to flow from a higher to a lower place in the cases of water with Earth's gravity, or heat from hot to cold. And things are always just doing what they're doing, and we don't even know about it if we don't, but it's still just happening, right? Don't believe me? There we go. As I say, don't believe me, Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. I'll be doing this my entire lifetime. Don't believe in the Image Clothing Company's team, even any of our poodles, all right, with any of our information, because truth is truth. All we can do as human beings is understand what's here. We were all placed here. We're all the same thing, just a human being, placed under the same earth, designed by the same God. Truth is truth. Things were always just what they were before we got here, and after we leave, they'll be the same. So, you don't have to believe in anything for things to be just what they are. Now, here's the thing. This is all just happening, and the big point with this video's title, because why it's about the human body in this case, heat versus cold in the body, on In The Image Clothing Company's main site on the 19th of March 2026, is because our bodies will work the best warmer rather than colder. Check this out. Heat transfer, what happens, like I was just saying, from anything that's warmer or hotter to anything that's colder. The heat will transfer from something hot to something cold. So the more drastic the difference, the more transfer of heat you'll have from something really hot to something really cold. The heat will rush down to the cold. If you have a less drastic of a difference between something just warmer than something else that's just a little bit colder, you'll have a less drastic of a transfer of the heat. But heat is synonymous in the ways that it is with the word work or the word energy. What heat is this motion that's happening in the molecules. So you can kind of picture it like this. If I am running, all right, and I'm moving forward, running across the surface of the planet Earth, my body has heat in it because the molecules in my body are literally moving fast than if they were colder. They're actually moving to allow my body to physically, literally, actually move and run. That's how it's happening. It's on a little microscopic level. It's not just my whole body moving, but my whole body is made up of a lot of little things that are moving quickly to allow it all to work together and move. And so if I run, and I'm the thing that's moving, and I'm the thing that has heat or work or motion or energy in me, and I run into something that's just like a wall, stationary, stuck in place, it's like that wall is something that's cold and my body is something that's hot. Again, heat is like work, or heat is like energy. They're synonymous. It's the ability to move. So as I'm running and I have my body moving and it hits into something that's not moving, my body will transfer some of that work or some of that energy, some of that heat into the thing that's not moving. And then it'll cause the thing to move. You know, let's say there's just a wall there and I go run into it and I hit the wall moves a little bit. I transfer some of my energy or some of the work that my body has exerted into the wall, and the wall takes some effect of my body's heat or energy or work. It transfers into the wall because my body was moving faster than the wall was. This is a funny analogy, just running into a wall. That's a great way to see it though. Because yeah, some of the motion in my body transfers from where the motion was happening more, which is in my body running, to where less motion was happening in the wall. The wall was stationary, just standing still. It's like heat in any aspect of what it could be. With the molecules moving quicker in something warm or hot, they want to move to something that's cold with the molecules moving slower, because things want to transfer from high to low. Water flowing downhill, hot things cooling off. It's like your food, like I was saying, after this rock that was in the hot fire has food set onto it, the hot rock transfers its heat into the food, like me running, transferring my heat into the wall, and it slows down my motion once I hit the wall, because some of my motion or energy or work gets transferred into the wall. All right? Seriously. That's how it works with a hot rock transferring heat into the food. The hot rock cools down because some of its heat went into the food. It lost some of its heat. So, the body needs to have heat to work. Remember, heat is synonymous with work. And work, what I mean is physical motion, the ability to physically move, to physically operate in this physical body, this mechanical machine. It's a machine of motion, the human being. So, what we have is hot and cold. The human being is going to work the best, really, in an environment that was the same temperature as the body. Seen with context, this is what I mean. Our bodies are losing some of their heat to the atmosphere, or just the air that's around us is touching our skin. Like how the rock loses some of its heat into the food that's touching the rock, our bodies are touching the air that's around us. Our bodies are covered in skin. There's a video here under In The Image Clothing Company's main site titled The Epidermis. The epidermis is the skin of the body. It's actually an organ. It covers the whole body. It makes our bodies waterproof. There's little holes in our skin called pores where sweat or perspiration comes out of the body. But also things can go into the body. You know, our bodies can be poisoned by anything placed onto the skin that can seep into these holes in the skin and damage the body on the inside. Just things that shouldn't be going into the body, that just aren't compatible with the body. What those things are, in the cases that they are, some of those things are unnatural, synthetic, and artificial materials that we make as human beings, taking natural things and making them unnatural. We make our clothing out of these things, where we don't, as In The Image Clothing Company, but as human beings, just tens of years ago from today's date, things like stretch in clothing started to happen. Today's date, by the way, is the 19th of March, 2026. Stretch in clothing came with these unnatural materials, and so does damage to the body. First of all, muscles only pull together. Stretch in clothing pulls away. So we're just going the exact opposite direction of how our bodies go, if you will, with what we place on our bodies. Clothing pulls away if it has stretch in it, but the bodies only pull together, and all the muscles, with just opposing muscles only pulling to cause motion in the body. So, what I'm saying is, the skin of the body is always touching the air that's around us. We've got air in the atmosphere of our Earth, right? We're breathing air. We're breathing oxygen, okay, to stay alive. And as our bodies are touching the air around us, or if the air is touching our bodies, whatever end you want to word it on, we lose some of this heat in our bodies into the air around us if the air around us is any colder than the temperature of the body. Now, you'll hear people say this, as well as you hear sometimes surrounding sounds and In the Image Clothing Company's videos filmed outside like this or wherever we do. There's a truck driving by is what I'm saying. I get it. I get it. I could film these videos anywhere. I understand. There's reasons to it. Alright? But our bodies will transfer some heat from in them to the air surrounding our bodies because it's touching our skin, and so the actual energy moves from the warmer temperature, the warmer or hotter body, to the air touching our bodies if it's any cooler, because heat is always trying to travel to cold. So you'll hear people say that the cold sucks the energy out of their bodies. If you've heard a phrase like this, or people say their bodies feel drained in the cold, or, phrases like this, that's the truth in a literal way. The cold air around our bodies literally, physically takes the heat from our bodies, because the heat from our bodies is traveling from the hotter temperature, or the hotter motion really is what it is in the body, to the colder motion in the air surrounding or touching our bodies. Or whatever it is, if you're in water that's colder than your body's temperature, the heat in your body will travel into the colder water. Now, this is the point. Like I said at the beginning of this video, there's only a normal to the human being. The human body's normal body temperature, again, synonymous with natural or neutral. Normal, natural, neutral, and normal, neutral, normal, and natural, and neutral, natural, and normal, and all the ends of however you could say that. Anyway, that's fun. Seriously. Because there's only one way the human body could ever work. 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit is the normal body temperature. Just about every single human being on the planet Earth currently, right now, as in on the 19th of March 2026, but also your now, if you will, whenever you're listening to this, every human being's body is just about exactly at 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. And if your body gets even up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, just a little over 1 degree Fahrenheit difference, or however you're measuring it in Celsius, just a different degree of measurement of temperature, your body's, in danger, really. That's what we call a fever, You don't want that to happen. Your body can only operate at one temperature. It always stays just about the exact same, pretty well the exact same. I mean, to a decimal degree, 98.6 degrees. I mean, it's a very distinct temperature the body always stays just about exactly at, and it just regulates it by itself. That's what I mean. There's no opinion or religion or anything to life. There's only truth. God is just orchestrating everything. The body's just breathing on its own. The heart's beating on its own. If you get cut, the body will heal itself to the degree it's able to. Sometimes we have to help it a little bit, stop the bleeding. But our bodies regulate their own temperature, and it always stays pretty much the exact same. Even if it's like 35 degrees Fahrenheit outside, or even if it's 110 degrees Fahrenheit outside, our bodies will do all they can to regulate their own temperature. Now, when we get to the extremes on either end of temperature, our bodies can have a harder time regulating, and that's why we need to be able to do what we can to keep our bodies at their only normal temperature. This is what I mean. There's only a normal to the human being. It's like we say, you can train your body all you want to think you're training your body to do something, but it's impossible to actually have that happen and last. You can work your body's muscles out and gain all the muscle mass you want, but once you stop trying to get excessive muscle mass, your body goes back to its only normal amount of muscle mass right when you stop trying to get more than it had. You can try to stretch your body to get the muscles to go farther than they can, but they can't. There's opposing muscles to every function, and there's a neutral between it. There's only one way the human body could ever work. There's no possible opinion to it that could matter or change it. It's not our design. It's the design of Jesus Christ. It's God's design. There's only one way the human body could ever work. That's what we say so often under In the Image Clothing Company. That's how we can allow it to work. That's the only end, is allowing God's design of the human being to work. It only does what it does. And if we try to step in and get it to do something else, we're only going to damage it. So, this normal body temperature, 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. What'll happen is if we're anywhere when it's colder in the air surrounding our bodies than our bodies are, which is almost always, really, for most all people, unless you're really in a place where it's very warm, you know, and we will be. That's a good point. I'm not wearing this shirt just for this video, but also this is a good shirt to wear for this video. I didn't know I'd be wearing this shirt until I was on my way out of the house to come film this video with Dante here, my standard poodle. But this is a good piece of context because St. George, Utah, as it says on my shirt, it's the very southernmost part of Utah here in the United States of America, and we live up Utah, as in the Image Clothing Company. The beautiful, diverse nature, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints headquarters are here in nature. That's awesome, but in the state of Utah. And Dante and I, within a month, give or take, from today's date, the 19th of March, 2026, will move down to St. George, Utah, and that's where we'll be based, as in the Image Clothing Company, for life. And it's a true desert. It's hot. The state of Utah, as are a lot of parts of the earth, it's a desert. But St. George, Utah, it's got a lot of this sandstone, this red rock. It's very warm in the summers. It's hot, 100 degrees Fahrenheit and above commonly, and then in the winters it stays relatively warm. What I'm saying is there is a big reason we, as In the Image Clothing Company, me, Evan Strong, being the founder is the point of me saying this, delivering this information and giving my own personal experience with this. We're going to be based in St. George, Utah, and there's a lot of reason to it, with our slogan here on In the Image Clothing Company's main site being allowing the body to work. Again, the word work is literally synonymous with the word heat. The amount of work something has is the amount of heat something has. The amount of physical motion the molecules have in something is what we call heat. So, it's going to be hot in St. George, Utah. Well, it just is, but that's where we will be, as in the Image Clothing Company. And that's beneficial for the human being. Like I'm saying, any temperature that's any cooler or colder than the body's internal heat amount, you know, temperature is the measurement of heat, and temperature and heat are different in the ways that they are. But the body is losing its heat to anything that's any colder than the body's 98.6 degree Fahrenheit temperature that it just regulates and has to stay at to just continue to function. And so this is the thing. Really, if the temperature surrounding our bodies was exactly 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit always, we wouldn't lose any heat from our bodies. Not really. I mean, it'd be balanced out. But the body can then overheat in the ways that it can, and you know, the body just works how it does. The surrounding sounds just come where they do, okay? But what I'm saying is the body's energy and its ability to have its physical effort that it can exert and the amount of work, if you will, that it can do physically, the amount of heat that it can physically house, it wouldn't be losing that to anything surrounding the body if everything surrounding the body was exactly the same amount of heat, if you will, as the body, because it'd be equal. Now, here's the thing. You hear people talking about warming up their bodies, like before they try to do a sport or some kind of physical activity like this, athleticism, people will warm up their bodies. They will literally cause the molecules in their bodies to start moving faster to create more heat, or again, create more work, the ability for the bodies to move. Now, what happens is, there's only the amount of work the body has. And so, in the body, we've got things like water making up the majority of the body. 70, give or take, % of the body's whole makeup is water. And then, with that, we've got our blood. So what the water does is lubricate the whole body. The body of the human being, and we discuss this often under In the Image Clothing Company, the body can't actually extract anything from just plain water, like completely plain water made up of just hydrogen and oxygen, H2O. There's nothing in there the body actually takes and extracts from the water. What the body uses water for is functioning. That's what I'm saying. You know, the water flows. Like I was discussing earlier, the water will always try to do everything it can to flow from a higher point of elevation, top to bottom, from Earth's center, really, to a lower point because Earth's gravity pulls it down. Just like heat will always try to move from a hotter place to a colder place because as the molecules are moving, there's only a certain amount of work or motion they have, and it transfers into something else with less work or motion in it to try to equal out. It's always going downhill, these things like this, water and heat. So the body uses water for functioning, to lubricate the body, to have it have the ability to move, because that's just how it works. Meaning, things attached to water molecules. You've got the blood in the body, and the way that the blood vessels, the actual individual little vessels of blood in the body flow through the body is through veins and arteries and capillaries and pathways that blood can travel through the body. And it needs to physically flow the way that we see water flowing. And so this is the thing. If you need the body to be circulated with blood, meaning blood needs to be pumped through the whole body, and it does, is the point. Not only if you need it, it does, to allow the body to function. What happens is when we breathe, man, this is a detailed video. This is In the Image Clothing Company. This is what we do, really, allowing the body to work. Well, there's a video here under In the Image Clothing Company's main site titled What Breathing Really Is. Currently, at least, there's a video here titled that. The thing with breathing is our muscles of our body that only pull to work. There's the word work, you see what I mean? Muscle fibers and their motion, they move, they get hotter, and they have a higher ability to work. They have more energy or work within them that's stored. Yeah. Our bodies have a muscle, multiple muscles called diaphragms that pull, and we open a void space or a blank space in the lungs, and then we've just got this exchange of gases. That's what I'm saying, you know, gases, oxygen that's in our air around us, it'll go from a higher pressure state to a lower pressure state, like I'm discussing with water flowing downhill, or heat going from a hotter place to a colder place, a place of more motion to a place of less motion. Well, as we breathe, we're just pulling muscles to open this space in our lungs, inside of our rib cage in our bodies, stemming here at the center line in the front at the sternum bone. Okay, in the front of our chest, the rib bones wrap around our bodies on either side and connect in the center line of the body at the spine, and these bones cage the lungs. The lungs are kind of like balloons. They can hold air, you know, oxygen. We breathe in from the atmosphere. So as we open this space in the lungs, it's a less pressurized state in the opening of the lungs than it is in the atmosphere of the earth around us, because the air actually weighs something, you know. Anyway, I won't get any deeper to this into this right now in this video than I need to, but that's how it works. It's crazy. Yeah. And so the air going from the higher pressure state outside of our bodies rushes into our bodies, into the lower pressure opening or cavity or void space that we've created by pulling muscles to expand this opening in our lungs. As this happens, I said, welcome to science class. This is real. This is what I mean. This, as in, like, this is real deep. Like, this is what we do under In the Image Clothing Company. It's only about clothing to get to this functioning of the human body in any way it functions. In this case, breathing, yeah. The oxygen that comes into our lungs attaches to the blood in our lungs, in these little veins, if you will, these little arteries, if you will, these little pathways, though, for the blood to flow, called capillaries. And so now the oxygen molecule is attached to the blood in our lungs, and then that oxygen travels with the blood out through our whole bodies as the blood gets pumped through our bodies through its pathways, the circulatory system. Yeah, the arteries and veins and capillaries like this, the ways the blood can travel through the body. The blood, having the oxygen from the atmosphere attaching to it in the lungs, then flows throughout the body to deliver oxygen to the whole body. Anyway, that's how that works. What I'm saying is, water is also attaching to the blood. You know, I mean, water is just in the body. The body's 70% water, give or take. The vast majority of the body of the human being is made up of water. And so that's what's allowing this motion to happen. That's what's allowing the blood to flow through the body. And that's what's allowing the blood that's now able to flow through the body to carry the oxygen through the body. Now, here's the thing. All of this is made up of molecules, all right? The blood of the body, the water that's in the body, and the blood's made up of water in the ways that it is. You see what I mean? The muscles in the body, which are made up of water in the ways that they are, if you can see what I mean. Everything in the body, all the organs functioning, and the body's ability to move, the skin or the epidermis's ability to flex, its elasticity. Here comes an airplane. That's a helicopter, actually. Okay. I'll wait for a little bit here for the sound of the helicopter in my video. On the 19th of March, 2026, on In the Image Clothing Company's main site. Okay. Yeah. This is just how this works, okay? This is physics. Like I say, we discuss physics, mathematics, mechanics, and like I said, they're kind of the same thing in a way. But yeah, I mean, that's what the body is. It's just operation, physically. And so, yeah, it just takes us across the earth. It's just our vessel. It's just a body. It's flesh and bone and blood, and that's made up of molecules. You know, so that's what I'm saying. Everything that the body is made up of molecules, and as molecules get warmer or hotter, they can move more. As molecules cool down or get colder, they don't move as quickly or as much. They don't have as much motion or physical work in them to be able to even do or produce, you know, any kind of motion. Yeah. Anyway, what I'm saying is, there's a lot that I'm saying. I'm gonna adjust my stance. I've been standing in, I'm pretty sure, the exact same position the entire video until now. 55 minutes, holy cow. Not that it's a problem, but it's just, that's what I mean, allowing the body to work. There's only one way it does. It's about a positioning. It's a mechanical machine. And so this is the thing. The reason why people would warm up their bodies before they do something like an exercise, you know, athleticism, like I was saying, is because the body is going to be exerting more physical work. It's going to be producing more physical motion, and what's allowing this to happen is what we label as heat. That's what I'm saying. The molecules moving faster and able to actually do something, like when water moves faster to the point that it turns from its liquid state to a gas we call steam. That's what we're doing when we warm up the body before we do an exercise. For example, you know, like you start jogging in place maybe before you go run hard, if you will. You see what I mean? But the big focus is there's only a normal. There's only the human body's only normal. There's only the 98.6 degree Fahrenheit temperature to the body that it has to remain at. Otherwise, you know, we got to have some medical intervention to try to get it back to that. You know, hyperthermia or hypothermia, too hot or too cold in the body, damages the body. It damages the body's tissues, and it damages the body's, just ability to work, because it just has to only work the way it can. That's what I mean. All you can do is allow the human body to work. That's what I'm saying. There's no opinion to it. It could matter. There's not. It's always been the same. In order for God to design us in his image, he had to first look like us and be like us in all the ways that he is, really. Yeah. We're designed in the image of God. We're emulating God because he first looked like us. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, meaning always, unchanging. Another name for God is the truth. So there you go. That's why we use the phrase, truth is truth. Things that just are what they are. Always have been and always will be. Things are only what they are in the ways that the things that don't change. Truth is truth. And what I mean is, heat versus cold in the body. This video's title under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, the 19th of March, 2026. The body will work better in the heat. Now, if we understand the word work, like I'm saying in this video, being used in the way of describing the word heat, those are synonymous. The amount of heat something has is the amount of work it stores. And then it transfers that work into something else that's cooler or colder than the thing that's hotter or warmer. Always trying to travel downhill from hot to cold. So, what am I saying? This is amazing. That's why I'm asking what I'm saying. It's crazy that I'm able to just stand here and discuss this. I mean, I'm not like a professional in this. That's why I very clearly say all the times that I do and we have and we will, and that's just like the general, like, please don't, under In the Image Clothing Company, is don't believe me. I'm just going to discuss things as I do. If I don't do it all that perfect, then there you go. But truth is truth. That's the point. Is truth is apart from all of us. We can discuss truth, and maybe we don't understand it fully, but it's still what it is. It doesn't change. Just how heat works, how molecules move and vibrate, and how energy is what it is, how matter cannot be created or destroyed, and matter's that thing that's vibrating, these things we call molecules, you know, everything's made up of matter. And so, yeah, don't believe me. I mean, I'm not trying to claim that I'm explaining this all exactly perfect or anything that I ever say at all in my entire life, even if I'm an absolute professional in something. Don't believe anything. Find the truth. You know, we can just discuss truth. We don't get to decide truth or change truth as human beings. But God is. You know, it's the same thing as saying matter cannot be created or destroyed. There's no beginning or end to God. God is all things. That's just what it is. There's no religion to it necessarily. Really? I mean, there's not. It's just what it is. Life is just life. Truth is just truth. That's what I mean. Things are only what they are. No matter who you are, where you're from, you know, what your background is or whatever. It's just what it is. You're a human being on this planet Earth. And heat is synonymous with work. And when I say work, I mean physical motion. The ability to physically move from one point to another point. Like me standing here and walking over there, I'm physically working my musculature. I'm physically moving my body, and that's physical heat, because that's what the word heat means, is it's the motion of molecules. So what I'm saying is the body truly does work better in warmer temperatures or hotter temperatures than it would in cooler temperatures or colder temperatures in relation to the body's 98.6 degree regulated by itself, really God regulating it, temperature. It just stays at that temperature, and in order for it to do what it is, a physical mechanical machine, a machine of motion, the human being, in order for it to move, what that is heat, which is literally physical work. They're synonymous. That's what the word heat is meaning. Like I'm saying, is the physical motion or the physical work happening. And so the colder the body gets from its normal body temperature, 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, the less it can physically move. And this is what I mean. There's no possible opinion or approach to truth. I'm not claiming that I'm only ever speaking truth. I couldn't. I'm imperfect, as we all are as human beings. That's why we rely on a perfect God. The perfect God, Jesus Christ, in this case, is this thing that's happening that we call heat. That's what I mean, is God is, as it says in Scripture of Jesus Christ. Well, Jesus Christ himself says in the New Testament of the Holy Bible, before Abraham was, I am. We call God, or Jesus Christ, the great I am. He just is. Everything that just is there and doesn't change, like how there's universal laws, scientific laws, we can call it God's law, like how, as I said in this video many times, matter cannot be created or destroyed, like how heat only works how it does and molecules only move how they do, like how water always flows downhill with gravity from a higher to a lower point, and how heat or motion in something always goes from a hotter place to a colder place, or a place of more motion to a place of less motion. This is God, meaning it's truth. It's unchanging. It's the same yesterday, today, and forever. It's something we have no opinion on that could possibly matter or change as a human being. We didn't design it. We didn't set it up. It only does what it does. And this is the human body because it's pulled from the clay, as it says in the Holy Bible. As I discussed earlier, we're literally physically only what we have eaten. As far as the human body goes, that's how you grow from being a little baby to a full-grown adult. So this is what I mean when I say we have no opinion that could possibly matter under In the Image Clothing Company. So don't believe us, but let's try to do all that we can to discuss truth as it is, unchanging, eternal. Jesus Christ is his name, the truth. But also, yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah, I mean, don't believe us. It just is what it is. We don't have any kind of breakthrough or new information or anything we could take credit for even under In the Image Clothing Company if we're doing it how we're supposed to be doing things and aligning what we're doing with God. And in order to allow the human body to work, all you can do is align what you're doing with God because he designed the human body. We don't have a say over it. It does what it does, you know? I mean, there's certain, what I mean by is this, there's certain medical things you can't fix as a human being. No matter how much we want to have someone live longer, people die. And if we were in charge of things, people wouldn't die that we didn't want to die. We'd intervene and not let it happen yet. That's what I mean. Truth is truth. It's God. There's no choice of mine. So don't believe me on it, but it is what it is. And don't take my words exactly how I'm explaining anything as exactly as something is. But let's try to get down to truth. It's apart from all of us. This is what I'm saying with heat versus cold in the body. This video's title under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, the 19th of March, 2026. All right? So, yeah, heat. The body's going to work better in a warmer state of being than it will in a colder state of being, because it's got to be able to physically move. Ice doesn't physically move. The actual water molecules have slowed down so much that the makeup of all those molecules together we call ice is the literal word solid, as in not moving, you know? Check this out. In the Book of Mormon, another testament of Jesus Christ, it says, stand in holy places and be not moved. It might say that in the Holy Bible as well, or it might just be one or the other, but anyway, it's Book of Doctrine of Jesus Christ. That's what it means, to be planted, to be not moving. It's like something being so, well, yeah, cold. That doesn't quite transfer over quite the same way. You know, it'd be like you're saying you're a cold-hearted person in a sense. But what I mean is, ice is just water that slowed its motion down so much that it becomes a solid. Steam is just water that's heated its motion up so much and quickened its motion up, you know, moved so quickly that it becomes a gas. It becomes a completely different form because of the amount of heat within it, meaning the amount of physical motion or work within it. So the body being lubricated by water and being oxygenated by the blood that flows with water, all right, and yeah, the bloodstream is just like a river basically flowing through the body. The blood is, and carrying oxygen through the whole body. This needs to be able to happen by it being warm enough that it can flow. The warmer it gets, the more it flows. Water gets so warm that it flows so much to the point that it evaporates into steam. If the human body is warm enough to where the blood in it can move really well, I get the airplane noise. All right, let me wait it out for as long as I do. This video is beautiful. It's just another date-marked documentation under In The Image Clothing Company's main side. Like I say, it's just as we do. So much under the gift of video. And I'm just screaming about it, as I tend to do where I do. All right, I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it that airplanes just fly, and I couldn't possibly be upset over it because I don't have control over it. You see what I mean? Anyway, let me wait though before I actually continue to speak the information of the video's title until the airplane noise from that one's just a little bit quieter at least. I see another one up there. It's a lot higher though. It's nice out here though. It's somewhere around 70 degrees Fahrenheit, give or take. That's what I'm saying. It's gonna be 82 degrees is what it was projected to be, you know, on the device that I looked up for the weather projection, like prediction of today. It's warm. That's what I mean. St. George, Utah, our bodies physically, mechanically operate and, quote, work, unquote, better when they're hotter, warmer, or have more, quote, heat, unquote, within them. And there will be more heat within the body, or more physical ability to work, physical motion is what I mean by work, within the human being, the warmer the temperature is outside until it gets to the same temperature as the human body, right at 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. That's how it would work, because then it's balanced. And you don't have a transfer of heat coming from your body to anything else that's colder than it, if anything around it was exactly the same temperature as the body. So that's just how this works. That's why, like I said earlier, just to kind of wrap it up a little bit and explain what I mean, people will say the phrase, the cold sucks the energy out of them. It sucks the life out of them, if you will. In order to stay alive, our bodies have to move, because our heart has to literally physically move to pump blood. Again, the more motion something has, the quicker those molecules are vibrating, the more heat it has. That's how that word gets used in that way. That's what it means. So, yeah. Then our bodies can pump blood through the whole system better, as long as they're warm enough for the blood to flow through the body well. And we can breathe better as long as our muscles, the diaphragms that expand the opening in our rib cage inside of our lungs to fill with air, you know, as long as this can happen because it's got the ability to move, we can breathe better. Our bodies literally just physically operate better. Just the joints will be looser or more limber because, again, even the word loose is something with more motion. Something that's stiff, it doesn't move as much. Just like something that's cold, it doesn't move as much. Something that's hot, it moves more. You could say it's more limber or looser than something that's cold. Because this is what I'm saying. Your hands, you know, I kind of feel like I'm putting on some kind of like performance with these videos. Not like I'm trying to like put on a performance, but I feel like I'm on a stage sometimes, like, you know, like it's a play. Just the way that I'm so, you could say eccentric. I get it. I mean, I'm like, I'm yelling about things often. It's just how it comes out. I love it though, because this is just how I authentically deliver this information. It's not some kind of script I go off of. I'm just discussing things because this is what I'm saying. When you're in the cold, your hands don't work well. Your hands start to stiffen up and they start to hurt. And the range of motion, there's a video here under In The Image Clothing Company's main site titled Full Range of Motion. You know, our bodies just have a full range to all the motion in every part of them, and then you're done. You know, bones only go to where they hit into other bones, and then you're done with all the motion in the body. There's a full range to it, and that's all it could do. That's as far as it could go. But this full range to the motion of the body gets taken and is lacking, if you will, to a degree when the body gets cold enough that it can't move. It loses its ability to physically work because the temperature, well, yeah, again, temperature is kind of different than heat in the ways that it is. Temperature is a measurement of heat. It's like hydration is different than just drinking water. Hydration is a measurement of the amount of water in the body, or the body's ability to hold on to or retain water. Okay, but heat in the body is lacking, or work in the body is lacking. Physical motion in the body is lacking when it gets, you know, colder. Then the body's temperature just regulates 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. The farther away on the cold end you get from the body's normal temperature, the stiffer the body gets, because it's literally just not vibrating the molecules as quickly, and they just can't move as much, because that's what's happening is the molecules are moving more the hotter they get. I know that I've said the same thing quite a few different ways in this video, but I just want to really speak this as thoroughly as I do here, because like I say, I mean, I say something once under the gift, as I call it, a video, and I'm done. I would never have to necessarily explain this again in my entire life. I could just reference people to this video that I filmed under In The Image Clothing Company's main site on the 19th of March, 2026, titled Heat versus Cold in the Body, to have them understand what I've said here, you know? So, anyway, that's just what it is. And you know it, that's what I mean. It's just harder to move your body in the cold. It's easier to move your body in the warmth when it gets hotter, closer to the body's temperature, until you would get right to where it's the same temperature outside of your body as it is inside of your body. And so, yeah, it's this video is kind of both two different things. You know, well, it's all the things that it is, but it's these two things for sure. It's both an explanation on just the body, because we're in the Image Clothing Company, and like I just said, under the gift of video, and all four sides of In The Image Clothing Company, that's a lot of what we do, is give just deep, thorough discussions and explanations on what we're doing and how things are and work, you know, and we try to keep our opinions out of it in all the ways we can, but we're just imperfect human beings, you know. So, yeah, I mean, find the truth in it, you know. Don't believe me, but yeah. But truth is truth, and that's what I'm saying. That's part of what this video is just, you know, it's just a discussion. And our company, as in the Image Clothing Company, you know, maybe we were even based in a cold climate or whatever it could be, that was basically relatively cold, you know, compared to the human body's only normal temperature all year round, let's say. And we could just give this discussion on heat versus cold in the body. But also, the other part of this video is, in all truth, I mean, that is one of the biggest reasons we, as in the Image Clothing Company, and the reason I'm saying it like this right now is me, Evan Strong, being the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, and I'll be leading In the Image Clothing Company for my entire life. We're moving down to St. George, Utah. I've got this shirt on. I got this shirt, like I said, it says St. George, Utah on it. In November of 2025, when I was down there in St. George, Utah, that's where I got this shirt. I've been down there many times, you know, and us living up Utah under In the Image Clothing Company, me, Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, and I know I say our company name a lot. There's reasons for it, like I'm saying. We do things intentionally here. Yeah. I'm Utah native, you know, so I've lived here my whole life, and I do love Utah so much. But it's not just a bias thing. It's a beautiful place, nature-wise. You've got all sorts of different diverse things here. We've got In the Image Clothing Company podcast, another one of our fourths under In the Image Clothing Company here, where we have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ. Like I said, you don't have to believe in anything, but everything's just what it is. Everything was what it was here with our grandparents, great-great-grandparents, and as far back as you could go, and with our grandkids, great-great-grandkids, and as far down the line as you could go. We're all just on this same earth together, and it all is what it is. Like I'm saying, heat versus cold is the same experience for any human being, any generation to ever be on this planet Earth. It's just how the molecules work. It's just the body of the human being only being made up of earth, which is just matter that cannot be created or destroyed. There's only truth to life. No matter how you're trying to get to it, it's just that things are always only what they are since the beginning. As it says in the Holy Bible, in the beginning, God created heaven and earth and all things that in them are. All things that are in them, you know. It's just what it is. And we can't change it as a human being. And that's just truth. You can't dispute that when you really get down to it. You know, you can have all the arguments you want for the sake of arguing, but things are only what they are. In the ways that things are only what they are, I mean, yeah, there's only truth. If something's true, it always is, it always was. Something can't become true, you know, after some time that it's been something else, and something can't be changed from what it was to something else. Do you see what I mean? If you don't, well, don't believe me, but let's all collectively try to get down to the truth, because what I'm saying is we're on episode 204 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, and that's what we do there, is we just have deep insights on life be discussed. I mean, like this, essentially. This is just a deep insight or a deep discussion on something we all experience as human beings. It doesn't matter who you are. As we say under In the Image Clothing Company, everybody who has one or everyone has a body. Well, yeah, either way you want to say it, that's what I mean, is there's just a universal human design. You can be slightly different. You've got an amputation, let's say, a deformity, a birth defect, a major surgery, or anything that sets your body apart a little bit or quite a bit. You can only be set apart from something, and in this case, that's the universal human design. All right, so we do have to do all that we can in our own individualistic situations to get our bodies back to, if you will, the universal human design. Things like it taking the entire body to some degree to stabilize in every breath we take, and things like the center line of our bodies just having to mesh with Earth's center of gravity's pull, because there is two sides to the body, even if yours is quite a bit different in the ways that the body is structured. I mean, even just like the spine that you have to have stemming from the brain, you know, to a degree at least, to even be alive. It's in the center line of the body, you know, it kind of has to be. You see what I mean? Seeing with context, I mean, that's what I'm saying, is we couldn't possibly exclude someone or anyone or anything like that, you know. Yeah, under In the Image Clothing Company, when we discuss where clothing sits very clearly, I say it like this. Me, Evan Strong, as the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, is why it matters that I'm saying it. Because this is what In The Image Clothing Company is what I've founded it to be, if you will. You see what I mean? Just meaning it's not about me, but as the founder, I say it like this. Man, woman, tall, short, skinny, fat, any age, any part of the earth, any time period to ever be, you're just a human being. Then we discuss very clearly where clothing sits so we don't alter our bodies. What I'm saying is, well, a lot of this stuff, it's just that things are just what they are, is the point. You know, In The Image Clothing Company podcast is what I was discussing there. But yeah, anyway, St. George, Utah, it'll be so warm, we'll literally be able to physically work more. As in the actual physical makeup of the molecules of the body of the human being can move better, being just the mechanical machine that it is in a warmer climate, something like St. George, Utah, where it's very close to the body's temperature for a large portion of the year. All right, and stays relatively warm through just about all the entire year down there. That's what I'm saying. So that's what I mean when there's kind of like 2 points of context for this video. Just a discussion on what's going on with the body in general, but then also, yeah, seriously, we will be based in St. George, Utah. And we'll span the state of Utah with our events, things like Poodle Parade events. We've got another 4th of In The Image Clothing Company titled In The Image Clothing Company Poodles, where we do the same thing we do for human beings here on In The Image Clothing Company's main side, with allowing the body to work being our slogan. But our slogan over on In The Image Clothing Company Poodles is letting dogs stay natural. We give information that applies to all dogs. We only specialize in purebred standard poodles, purebred poodles. All right, poodle is the breed, standard is the size, a large size poodle. But we talk about all the things with dogs that we do, and our information would apply to any animals across the earth that it would as well over on In The Image Clothing Company Poodles. But, you know, we've got these domesticated dogs living in our modern man-made society, and we take them out of nature, and over generation and generation of the dogs breeding, we select specific dogs we want to have a litter of puppies together to almost make new dog breeds, because we're the ones selecting which dogs breed. Things like the breed of a poodle, for example, didn't even exist until human beings got involved. And so our dogs, as us as human beings, like I said, live in this modern man-made world placed onto God's natural earth. There's a lot of hidden dangers for the dogs, poisons and things like cars and just technologies that the dogs could get injured from or whatever it could be. No kind of fear behind it, but just we need to be very intentional because we've domesticated these animals and then we place things onto them. You know, we've got collars, leashes, harnesses, bandanas, slip leads, anything you place onto a dog to clothe the dog with, just like us as human beings. It's not just our traditional clothing items, but even glasses or jewelry. That's why I say it like that. Anything placed onto us at all isn't naturally there. The dogs never have anything placed onto them in nature. We domesticate these dogs. And then the same with us as human beings. We can have imbalanced collars on the dogs, heavy collars, loose collars. It's just not allowing their musculature to stay activated when the muscles only pull of the bodies, you know, dogs or human beings. We can have things tied in a knot around the dog, like a bandana, and just one side over the other, twisting the whole dog through their spine, you know. Anyway, this is what we do under In The Image Clothing Company, really. Yes, we are a clothing company. We'll always have, once we start having it available, good human being clothing and dog products, whatever else we branch out into product-wise, but staying centered, fitting correct, being made in all the ways we can from 100% natural materials. Again, there's only natural until we make unnatural things. There's no opinion to it. The body in itself is just natural, like I was saying. You know, there's no opinion to truth. You know, it's not our choices, but meaning the things we're discussing, trying to get down to the truth. There's no opinion to truth. All right, man, this is a good video. I'm actually kind of dry in the throat. I didn't eat or drink anything before we walked, you know, a little over a mile and a half, give or take, to get over here. And I've just been nonstop speaking for almost an hour and a half, so. Man, anyway, yeah, you know, collars, leashes, harnesses, things like this, similar things like this at least, you know, under In The Image Clothing Company for the dogs with our products. That's what we'll have. And a couple big focuses for both human beings and dogs are things like this: keeping collars centered and the importance of snug collars. We've just got even opposing musculature from the center line of our bodies at our neck going into our spine, so our collars need to be centered. We give a lot of free modifications in clothing under In The Image Clothing Company to allow the body to work. We've just got, like I was saying, a lot of imbalances in modern clothing design, and then it's fairly universally shipped across the entire planet. Yikes, I need a drink or something, man, some food. My throat's dry. I mean, I'm speaking loud too, you know, talking over the surrounding sounds. I just talk loud usually anyway when I'm delivering information like this, so it is what it is. But what I'm saying is, yeah, things like In The Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification, In The Image Clothing Company's rotated seam modification, In The Image Clothing Company's pant zipper modification. You know, we've just got things going on where we do, living in this right-handed world with 85% give or take of human beings being right-handed. We just get into a patterning because there is a center line to our bodies, and if we're just using one side just about only, and especially even, well, not especially even, but even just the majority of the time, we're basically only using one side of our bodies from the center line that meshes with Earth's center of gravity. We just get imbalanced. We get into patterning, like I'm saying. So that's really what we're doing here, is getting out of chronic patterning, scar tissue and bone spurs built up in the body. And you can watch the journey between, you know, where we were and where we are, just under In The Image Clothing Company. Me personally, Evan Strong, as the founder, I'm in this for life to lead it. Like I say, you know, in this for life. I love that phrase. It's an episode title of In The Image Clothing Company podcast as well. I'm in this for life, spoken by me, Evan Strong. Like I said, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. There's a video here under In The Image Clothing Company's main site titled "It Took Me 2 Years," spoken by me again, Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. Again, just meaning for context, yeah, I got out of chronic patterning and my body works, you know, it just does, and it didn't before because I was in such deep patterning. And you can watch our poodles and our team members under In The Image Clothing Company as they come on, as we breed our purebred standard poodles to advocate for the importance and the health of purebred dogs. Yeah, there's just about never a mixed dog in nature. You know, mixed dog breeds become normal to us as human beings with these domesticated dogs, but it's very unhealthy in most all cases, you know, mixing genes of different dogs. So keeping less dogs in shelters and more dogs at homes really starts before the birth of the dog with proper breeding to set the dog up for a successful, healthy life before they're even born. You know, in the wild, you've got survival of the fittest, and the healthiest dogs live. In domesticated dog societies, you've got people just haphazardly mixing random dogs together, having a litter of puppies, and you've got health complications that end up landing dogs in shelters because the owners either don't have the financial means to pay for the health needs of the dog, or they don't want to deal with the dog when it's just got temperament differences that you couldn't expect because it's mixed from two different dogs or multiple different dogs. Anyway, that's what I mean. Truth is truth. We don't get to decide as human beings, and especially not as In The Image Clothing Company. We're not claiming to decide that we can, choose what truth is. We can't. No matter if we tried to claim we could. Truth is apart from all of us. What I'm saying is, we do a lot, if you can't tell. I mean, that's why the videos are long. That's why the context is here. That's why we've got an episode of In The Image Clothing Company podcast titled Context Over Content. It's about the information, not just about making videos for the sake of making a video. No, it's about actually, you know, furthering what we're doing here. So we do it, and thoroughly. Like I say, we do all we can to explain things to such a degree that you couldn't possibly even dispute what we're saying. You know, and I do a good job at doing that in the times that I really thoroughly explain things. Yeah, I mean, that's a gift I've been given from God, as I say. It's just the ability to speak and the ability to explain things and work with words and have a depth of understanding of things that I really dive into. There's not much that I care about in life, and so the things that I really care about, I dive deeply into. Yeah, all right. And you can tell, you know, the way that I explain things. But it's not about anyone. That's the point. It's about truth. And so we got to just really understand things as they are. Oh shoot, this video just doing this takes a lot out of me in a good way. I mean, this is real work. Talk about work, you know. All right, In the Image Clothing Company Music, another one of our fours, where we show the sizing and setup of guitars so we don't alter the neutral wrist. Straight out from the outside of that forearm is the neutral wrist, down and out the end of the pinky finger. The natural rounding in our hands, you know, we just discussed in all aspects of life, fingernails and toenails, we need to have them to fully back and support the tips of our fingers and toes, their natural God-given strength. And if you cut your fingernails or toenails too short to just back your fingers or toes, yeah, they just don't have support. So we cut our nails relatively flat on the tips so we stay in this neutral position of the hand and the gripped arch in the foot, and then the neutral wrist and the neutral ankle, and then traveling up to the shoulder and to the hip from there. So, yeah, there's only one way the human body could ever work. Rhythm and poetry, lyricism, spoken word, singing, guitar playing, music geared around the gospel of Jesus Christ under In the Image Clothing Company Music. There you go. Now, I'm not going to discuss where clothing sits in this video. I'm not holding anything back. I mean, we've got our videos posted publicly where we do, and we discuss where clothing sits all the time. I'm not trying to like leave anything out, but this video is a big video. Dante and I are going to get out of here. I'll go get something to drink when I do. Yeah. But there you go. Heat versus cold in the body. The thing is, clothing's just got to fit on the body properly. It's just got to allow the body to work. Otherwise, we're trying to work through it. We've just got these even mathematical opposing bends on the body from bottom to top. The horizontal surface of the planet Earth and the vertical pull to its gravity, this perpendicular 90-degree right angle. The ankles bend backward, the knees bend forward, the hips bend backward, the low back bends forward, the mid back bends backward, and the upper back, which is just the neck or the cervical spine, bends forward. It's just mathematics, it's just physics, mechanics, like I'm saying. There's only one way the human body could ever work. There's no opinion to it that could possibly matter, so don't believe me either. But today is the 19th of March, 2026, and there's your video. You saw Dante in this video, yeah? I mean, Dante? Up, up? Probably a little bit, at least is what I mean. You saw his head, probably. Hey, buddy. He's just been sleeping down here at the bottom of this mound of dirt. He could probably use a shower, really. Laying in the dirt like that, boy. Anyway. Here you go. Poodle parade events. Bring your poodles, purebred of any size or mixed poodles of any size, here to the state of Utah, the United States of America, like we've been discussing in this video. If you want, we'll get people into nature and dogs into nature. Come for the events. Anytime we ever have an event under In the Image Clothing Company, don't come for In the Image Clothing Company's team. We're doing events for very purposeful reasons, and so come for those reasons. You know, it's not like a meet and greet type of thing, unless it was like very specifically specified otherwise, but probably not, you know, ever going to do that. Probably not. If we do, then whatever. But what I'm saying is subcategories of poodle parade events, like clean the creek or rid the rubbish specific poodle parade events, you know, actually picking up trash for the environment of our planet Earth. We're doing a lot of stuff like this. You know, we are a clothing company. Like I was saying, we'll have good clothing products, but we do so much more than that. And a lot of what we do is stuff that I may not even know anything about yet as of today's date, the 19th of March, 2026. But things for the environment, you know, working with good organizations and companies, good people doing good things, doing a lot with the dogs. We'll always be a huge name in poodles because we're always going to try to approach our slogan on In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, letting dogs stay natural in the best way we can, you know. And so applying to all dogs with our information there, we'll always do all that we can to just do things properly, you know. Anyway, that's our focus. So, shout out to the t-shirt because, I mean, I got it from a vendor, you know, like an actual person at a booth. When I say vendor, what I mean is, maybe that's not quite the right word necessarily, meaning like somebody who actually like made the shirt, you know, like a small business type person, if you will, you know. Yeah, anyway. That's just what I'm saying is St. George, Utah, I mean, it's going to be a huge focus of what we do under In the Image Clothing Company, because when it comes to living up Utah, you know, I mean, we're going to be based in the city of St. George, Utah. Our building will actually be built there. Just, well, as I'm saying, you know, as of today's date, the 19th of March, 2026, it just isn't yet. But that's where we'll ship our clothing out from. We'll have our team there, house the poodles there. We'll do so much under the gift of video there. And yeah, we're going to ship our products out. We're not going to have a store you come into. We just got technology to do it differently than that nowadays. And as in the Image Clothing Company, with our approach, we wouldn't be doing it in a way where you'd come in to purchase products, anything we'd ever sell. That's not how we're structuring what we do. So just some context, like I'm saying, just another date mark documentation, because that's what we do. All right. Truly, all opinions aside, the heat is good for the body. We have to stay hydrated, and that's what I mean is we have to know what it means to allow the body to work. The body can only stay hydrated the way it can. You can drink all the plain water you want. If we've got like purified, stripped from everything naturally in it, just plain water, H2O, that doesn't do anything for your body as far as hydration. Water's just a lubricator, and if there's nothing in the body to hold on to this lubrication, it'll be so lubricated you'll just have it pass right through you. No joke. I said it in a way that kind of almost sounds funny, to make it kind of almost funny how that really is, how real it is. Hydration is the body's measurement of being able to hold on to or retain water through electrolytes and the minerals in the body that actually hold the water in the body. Really, how you stay hydrated the best is have to put the least amount of water back into your body after you urinate it out that you would have to. The least amount of water you can drink and still have your body retain the proper amount of water, that means you have the utmost hydration level that you could. Otherwise, water's just passing through you, and as it comes out, it's flushing out and depleting your body from these essential minerals, electrolytes, things holding on to the water, because they attach to the water you put in. If the water you put in is just plain water, okay, and then they'll come out when you urinate or even when you sweat, but they're not being replenished naturally. Yeah, this is a big point with heat versus cold in the body, because there's a lot of myths behind hydration. It only is what it is. Don't believe me, but this is the truth. We need our bodies to retain water. And so if you drink water that's from like a clean source, like a natural spring, or nice flowing filtered water from a river, water will naturally filter itself, going through the dirt and the sand and the sediments and the moss and whatever it is, the plant material, anything like this, as water's just flowing naturally on the earth. There's so much of this mineral and there's so much of these electrolytes that our bodies need in them, just naturally in water in nature. But then we have these man-made processings. We talk about dehydrated foods and, like I'm saying, purified water. This is a man-made process. And when we purify water, we strip it from its essential nutrients that it naturally has, and then it's not aiding the body in anything besides becoming an excessive lubrication, if you will. So anyway, we really discuss this stuff thoroughly. I mean, to the degree that we do under In The Image Clothing Company. That's the reason we're here. So yeah, the body works better in the heat, as close as you can get to the body's temperature, really. It'd have the most energy or the most physical work it could do, but it also has to stay hydrated, and we have to know what that really means to do that. All right. Man. I'll say a little bit more if I get the chance to here. Let's just wait for this helicopter. It might be the same one that flew over earlier. Like I've given some context before, where we are here in Utah County right now, Dante and I, me just meaning being the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, there's a flight school just a few miles away, you know, for airplanes, helicopters, things like this. So there's a lot of planes and helicopters that fly overhead, which is, you know, kind of ironic because we filmed so many videos outside, but it is what it is. Like I'm saying, I couldn't possibly be upset about it. I could film these anywhere that I could possibly do it, you know, and I choose to do it where I do it. Well, I pray through it, and that's what I mean. There's also, there really is reasons to the surrounding sounds. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled The Wind Noise. And there's metaphorical things behind it, but also just the truth behind it as it is, you know, discussed and seen with context. There's a lot of reason to it, truly, why we do it how we do it. Blunt, bold, raw, and real in the Image Clothing Company, to show the truth of what we're really doing here. Check this out. I was gonna say something. Maybe that's what I needed to say. I just felt like there was more to say. But anyway, I didn't know this video was going to be this big as far as like this amount of information and this like broad of discussion. Because what I mean by broad discussion is I've discussed many things that are all geared around the same thing in this video, as far as just how the human body works, and then, you know, in relation to heat versus cold. And the big point really is with hydration. There's so many myths behind hydration, and human beings are just so much more dehydrated in modern 2026 and then going forth, you know, just only getting more unnatural, this world we make as human beings and place onto God's natural earth. Water in nature will hydrate you. Purified, man-made processed water, it's been stripped from its natural hydration. You've got to see the difference because it applies to you. That's what I mean. It's like when I say you don't have to care about clothing in the slightest, but it's the only thing physically placed onto you. It applies to you. You know, you don't have to care about us as In the Image Clothing Company, but our information applies to you. Like I said earlier, every body who has one, or everyone who has a body, there truly is just a universal human design, and things just are what they are. All right. So, I mean, we discuss stuff like that. You know, we just discuss things so differently than a lot of people across the earth do in modern day. Well, and any time period as well. You know, but that's what I mean is truth is truth, and so we don't have a sales pitch here. We don't. Under In the Image Clothing Company, because there's only one way you can allow the body to work. There's no kind of opinion on how you could get it to do something. You know, how you could get your body to withstand the heat better or not do so well in it, you know, out of an opinion. Well, it doesn't matter. The body only works how it does. What's the actual truth of how the body works? It doesn't matter who's saying it. What's the truth, you know? Anyway, thank you. Goodbye.